Hi there, I'm Perry Carpenter. I'm the Chief Evangelist and Strategy Officer for a company named KnowBe4. And what I want to talk to you today is about a concept that I call Ransomology. And this is really the psychology, the technology trends, and the economics behind why ransomware is such an epidemic today. And speaking of epidemic, this is pretty much the 2021 situation report. This probably feels about right. We've had situation after situation after situation pile up on us as IT or security people. And we're dealing with work from home, we're dealing with the chaos of a global pandemic, and we're dealing with the epidemic rise of ransomware. And this for us is the new normal. And we have to figure out how to adapt to this. We have to figure out how to deal with this so that we can be effective in managing the risk for our organization. So I hope to help you do that in the next few minutes that I have. Now, we're in a situation right now where 62% of all cyber attacks are ransomware. So if you get hit by a cyber attack, there's a likelihood that ransomware is at least a component of that. And we're also in a situation where 70% of ransomware attacks are exfiltrating data. They're taking data outside of our organizational boundaries and outside of our control, which means that virtually every ransomware attack is a data breach. It's a reportable data breach. This is different than it was a few years ago, where the data was just locked up and you could potentially pay to get that back, or you could find a key and you could unlock that and there was no data breach. The data was out of your control for a while, but it didn't potentially leave the perimeter. Now this has gone nuclear. And sometimes even regardless of if you pay, they will still leak all of the data on the dark web or sell all of that for later on. So this has gotten more and more and more serious. In fact, we've seen a 57% growth in ransomware between 2015 and now because it just works. It is so effective. One of the problems is that we've been spending a lot of money on technology over the past several years, dealing with security layers, and that's great, but we've been neglecting the thing that is causing over half of the breaches that are out there. And so as a result, we've been seeing the constant meteoric rise in spending, but we've seen data breaches outpace that spend. And so clearly we're missing something. And I would say that the thing that we're missing is the human layer, because when you think about what is causing the vast majority of ransomware attacks and data breaches, we'll get to in a second, but the vast majority of ransomware attacks is phishing emails and remote desktop protocol, which maps straight into the things that are causing success for most data breaches and cyber attacks, which are social engineering and unpatched software. And so we need to deal effectively with both sides. We need to deal with the technology side. We can deal with that through process like vulnerability management and closing down RDP and so on. But we need to build an effective line of defense at the human side of things as well. That's dealing with that social engineering piece. So from my perspective, if you're going to focus on 5 things, here's what I would have you focus on. Number 1, work diligently to secure your human layer. That means building an effective security awareness program, being able to focus on shaping behaviors and fostering a culture that values security, that has security woven all through it. Secondly, disable RDP anywhere that you can. That's probably one of the easier things to do right now. Thirdly, work on your vulnerability management process in your vulnerability management program. Work on that unpatched software problem. Fourth, predetermine your position and your guidelines for negotiation of payment, including edge cases, so things where there's loss of life potentially, because it's really easy to say we'll never pay. It's a different story when your business has been not functional for a week, or you're a hospital and life could be potentially lost. So think through all these edge cases as well, and think through what your guidelines, your policy are, so that you're not having to think through that in the moment as all the emotion and the urgency is hitting. And then also be a stickler for ensuring the integrity of your backup and recovery. I've heard countless times when people have been hit by an event, whatever it is, whether that's ransomware, cyber attack, or another disaster. They've gone to restore from backup and the backup has been corrupted, or it's not been at the time interval that they thought it was. And so they've lost a lot of time. They've lost valuable data and they've been crippled as a result of it. So verify that. Uh, be extremely intentional about that. And then lastly, I'll leave you with a resource. This is our ransomware hostage rescue manual. It's available for free, has a ton of great advice about what's really going on in the ransomware world right now, how you can best protect yourself, and then how you can respond if you were to be hit by ransomware. Again, I'm Perry Carpenter. This is the end of my time. Thank you so much for your time and attention.